Happy Sunday, everybody. I'm That Game Dragon, and we are here on That Game Dragon Network. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Dragon, what are we doing? This doesn't look like games. No, it's not games because, like I said before, this is That Game Dragon Network. And now we are expanding. We're doing everything. We're doing games, we're doing movies, we're doing music. We are doing it all. And music is one of the things that's at the center of everything. And one of the reasons why we're having this conversation is because you all know I like to stick it to the man in the worst way possible. And I mean that because when it comes to music, I feel that independents are the backbone of music nowadays. And you can see that with artists like Cardi B, who decided not to go with major labels in the beginning, do her own thing. And because of that, she kept massive amounts of money and was able to control her brand, her music, and her identity. Now, her story is not one that's unique. This is a story that tons and tons of independent artists are doing on their own. Now, they may not be making the bank that she's making, but they are definitely influencing music in their space, controlling their brand, how they do things, and where music is going in the future. And so, what we're going to be doing on our That Game Dragon music segments is we're going to pick independent artists that are doing their own thing, having an impact, and not just an impact from a music perspective, but that are rounded and doing a little bit of everything. And no one comes to mind more than the fabulous Milyssa Rose, who, as you can see, she is right here with us today. She is going to have an awesome conversation about her journey in music, where she's going, some of the things she's doing, and some of the cool things that she's been a part of thanks to the ability to control her own destiny. So, Milyssa, I just want to get it started. Like, I'm going to put it out there. Milyssa is a close friend of ours. We've worked together on several different projects for kind of years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she
Okay.
is always doing something amazing. And so I want to bring our viewers back a little bit because I want you to talk about your musical journey. How did you get started? I mean, because this was before like SoundCloud exploded and then threw up into Spotify's new world, right? Where
Mm.
independent artists can easily upload. It wasn't that easy a few years ago. And when I say a few years ago, I mean, as early as 5 years ago, people were still struggling. So talk to me about how you started so our viewers, anyone that's interested in music, can kind of do the same thing if they want to and see that it is possible. So I've
Yeah,
spoken enough. Please carry it away
no, you're
first.
good. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me and allowing me to have this opportunity to talk about, myself and my platform. When I got started, it was before, the Spotify, the SoundCloud, the YouTube exploded, before social media became what it is today. Um, a lot of it was just like hitting the ground running and kind of networking with going to like different open mics and different shows, meeting different producers, a lot of referrals from other people, and a lot of trial and error. Being a female in the business is rather difficult because people think, well, if you're a woman, then you're not that smart. So you'll just hand them thousands and thousands of dollars and you'll just take their word that they can do whatever for you. And I feel like people take advantage of that a lot of the times, because they feel that they see artists coming up, male, female, whatever, with stars in their eyes, and they'll pay whatever it will be to be, with the promise of actually, making it. And you meet a lot of people who say that they're connected to bigger names, and they could be, working in that, crew or, whatever, but they just so happen to be maybe somebody that is just coming up. So there was a lot of name dropping. So it's a shady, shady, shady business. I mean, I'm not even going to lie to you. You've got to be very, very, very careful with who you surround yourself with, who you give your time to, definitely who you give your money to as well. And I would say big thing is have a good lawyer and make sure that all of your contracts and everything are looked over well, because I was signed to an independent label and the guy wanted to take all my publishing and he told me that's not what he wanted to do. So
And I kind of wipe my brow because I've done music for a lot of years now in the digital music space, and this is not an uncommon story. This is something that happens every day where young aspiring artists don't really know how to get started. They meet a shady person who's like, hey, yeah, you pay me a few $1,000s, I'll get you produced, I'll get you connected, all these things. And then nothing happens, right? And it's a tragic tale that I've heard way too often. But what's different now, do you think? Because back then you couldn't do a lot of the things on your own. Like I figure we still need lawyers. That's what it thinks, but
Mhm.
I've noticed that even myself, like when I'm dealing with contracts and things like that, it's so much easier now. You can do something like Rocket Lawyer. There are a lot of small startup law firms that you can just go, you can look up contracts yourself now that you couldn't do that years ago. It was just almost impossible. Um, do you think it's become a little easier from that perspective when you're trying to protect yourself, or do you still think it's one of those things where like, hey, I do need, like to surround myself with full legal protection if I'm trying to get out there and start, because it's hard, lawyers are
Mhm.
expensive, right? So how do you manage like that balance, I would say now?
Well, I would say, like you were saying, that the internet has all kinds of information now. I mean, there's nothing that you cannot find. And like you were saying, all the, the um, lawyer sites, that basically make the templates, which is a lot of people are using it that are independent, that are very easy to read. Um, I would say, yes, those are good, avenues to go down. But I think when you're talking about heavy money, you know what I mean? Something that's very long term, things that's got, a lot of moving parts to it, I definitely would get a lawyer. I mean, some things are pretty straight and to the point. Like if I'm working with a producer, if I get what I put in, if I sell this many, I owe you this many royalties. Or like when I sign to a music library, it'll say, this is what we're going to do with your music. This is how long it's going to be. This is how we're going to pitch it. This is what it kind of draws, out what their itinerary of what they're going to do for me. So I think that, when I signed to a music library, I didn't have a lawyer. I looked over it, but it was pretty straightforward. Now, anything that
Mhm.
gets too complicated, yeah, definitely go and seek legal representation, because sometimes things are written and I think it's like they're almost meant to confuse you. You know what I mean? They're like,
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny because just recently, I was looking at a deal for someone, and they didn't realize that they were just buying a license to use the beats that they were incorporating into their music. And I'm like, hey, you know that this is just a license, like, and you know that it could be forfeited almost at any time by the producer. Like, you don't actually own it.
mhm,
He's like, well, what do you mean? Isn't it the same thing? I'm like, no, it's not. Like, you need to. There's a big difference between licensing the content, even if it's for commercial use, versus owning it outright.
mhm,
I said, if you owned it outright, you don't even have to say that that person was involved. You could actually say you were the producer on it. And, depending on how you do the deal, you don't even have to give credits to anyone underneath there that's done anything. But it's all in the fine print, right? And I
mhm.
always say, and here, you tell me as an artist if I'm giving the right advice. If you don't see it explicitly written there, then it's a loophole that can hurt you, and you should go and make sure that it's not being a jerk, it's just protecting yourself. Like, hey, I would like a clause in here, or I don't see anything in here about syndication, or royalty payouts in different territory, like things like that. And so I would say the beefier your paperwork is, as annoying as it may be, because you'll have to read it too, the better it is for you in most cases.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Because I mean, I think that you should have all your bases covered with every likely situation in mind that you can think of. Because trust me, something's going to happen. You know what I mean? Something's going to happen, especially when people start making money. That's when people get really
Oh,
shifty.
I can imagine. So let's go back, and I'm sorry, I kind of derailed this a little bit because I felt the legal part's important for people that are coming up. Um, let's talk about your journey again, because your music has evolved over time, right?
Mhm,
And me being a fan, and listening to your content over the years, it's grown. It's evolved into new things. It's, I hate to use matured, because when I say matured, it makes me feel old. But your content has matured from when you started. Talk to me about how it's transitioned, what did you start with, and where would you say your genre is now, if you could define it as a genre? Because I think you put your toes in a lot of different areas, and you're so talented. I think you can do almost
Oh,
anything. But I think you're very deliberate in what you choose nowadays, and you're better for it. And I think it very much matches your personality, your style. There's no disconnect. I think sometimes as artists are beginning, sometimes they aren't 100% themselves. They have to be something for the music, and then there's something else, outside of that. So
mhm.
it, let's start with that. I'm sorry, that's like multiple questions kind of packed into one.
No, you're fine. So, actually, it's funny because I was asked this question earlier this week a little bit about, touching on my journey. So when I first started, I never really wanted to. Originally I wanted to do Broadway and, be, in theater. And then I decided I wanted to be more controlled about what I do, what I put out, what I write, and, have my hand in it more. So I decided to just, do music. And I never really listened to a lot of pop artists. I can probably name, like, on one hand all the pop artists that I like. So it was interesting that I went down that realm. And when I started, it was, the days of Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and, Jessica Simpson, and everyone was very girl next door, and everyone was trying to, sound like everybody else. And when I came out, and everyone I would meet, that's what they wanted me to be. Um, and it was hard for me because it was like I wanted to be myself, but then it was hard because I wanted to be myself, but then it was like if I was myself, was that really were people gonna be receptive to that? People really didn't know what to do with me because, I'm mixed. I'm a little edgy. I wasn't blonde hair, I wasn't blue-eyed, I didn't wear midriffs, I didn't dance around, I wasn't cutesy like that. So I know when I started, I didn't really know, like, what I wanted to do. And then one day I just woke up and said, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want to do. And people would say, well, you are all over the place. You can't do an album with a little bit of every genre. That's not possible. Nobody knows what to do with you. And then I was like, whatever, screw you. I'm just going to do it because I feel like I have so many different influences of music that I listen to, as well as, the things that I was watching, whether it be like comics or, movies or just any nature, like I draw so much inspiration from so many different things. And I didn't feel like I wanted to be in a box. And so I just said, screw it. I'm just going to do whatever I want. And if you like it, great. If you don't, then that's fine too. But at the end of the day, I have to be happy with what I'm doing. And I didn't feel that doing one kind of music was what was going to be like. I wouldn't be able to express myself just being, because I think that I'm more than just one kind of music, and I didn't want to do that.
No, it makes complete sense. And I think one of the things that makes you really special is that you have a lot of artists that enjoy collaborating with you,
Mhm.
like a lot. It's crazy because I feel like um, a lot of artists that don't know you, once they hear you, they're like, I can definitely use her for a song that I'm thinking about, because you have such a big range. And so what I want to do is I want to give an example, because your range is broad and you can do so many things. So I figure it is a music show, right? So we should have some music. So I'm going to play one of your collaborations, and this is to kind of showcase that you have the ability to kind of interchange into different things. Acting is also one of them, and love your videos. I think they're always so much fun whenever you're
Thank
in
you.
them. And so here's a video that you did with Raziel Leon, because he's changed his name too, so I have to remember to say the full name now. And it's called Amor de Veneno remix. I believe it's a reggaeton type song, and so
Mhm.
let's get a look at the video. You're fantastic, you're funny, you're fun. Let's just showcase it for folks to see.
Okay.
Mire, maldita, conmigo no hable. Lo que tú hiciste no lo puedo creer. Vete para el infierno con panty con gasolina prendido en fuego. Jódete, maldita. No me llames. Déjame tranquilo. Caminando por la calle con un tipo que no vale la pena. No te hagas, te lo veo en la cara, tú no quieres ese tipo pa' nada. Esta vida no es para estar soltero. Mami, llamen los bomberos, mi corazón está en fuego, yo te veo. Yo y tú los dos somos leos, dime la verdad, esos ojos tuyos quieren ese feo. No te hagas, extraño como tú me tragas Punta Cana. En la playa yo y tú con ganas, no hay cama. No me importa solo que me amas, y tú vuelves todos los días todo encima y me da más.
All right, so there was a taste of Abortive Veneno remix featuring Milyssa Rose, and so you're actually singing in Spanish there. And
I am.
how hard was that? Because you're not a native Spanish speaker, I presume.
No, I am not. I took Spanish in high school and knew very little. What's funny is I had a coworker that spoke Dominican. He was a Dominican and he spoke Spanish, and I was like, I need you to speak very, very slowly and record it. And then, of course, Raziel was like, don't worry about it. You're stressing about it. Just, I'll tell you what to do. I'll tell you what to say. It's fine. So I was more stressed about it than he. I don't know. I always get really hard on myself because if I don't get it like immediately, then I get angry like inside. I'm like, why can't I get this? But he was really patient, and he was like, I told everyone you're going to do this and you're going to do really well. And he was like, and don't worry, if you sound like a white girl, it's okay. And that's like, thank you, Raziel. No, but it turned out really nice. I'm really happy with it.
I know, and that beginning scene was wow. Like where did you tap into? Because it was pretty realistic. I did imagine you were kicking him out, telling him to f off and not come back. It was really good.
Thank you. Well, Raziel and I have really great chemistry. He's just amazing. I'm extremely talented, hardworking, and he's just so. I don't know, when I work with him, I feel very at ease. And I just feel like when I work with him, everything kind of flows like naturally. And like he, with his direction and just how he just maps everything out. So it's really, to me, like working with him is not even work.
And you guys do a lot of great projects together. I think one of the first ones I saw was Lotto Remix.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm dating myself a little bit because that one's one of the first ones y'all did together. But you guys did a lot of fun things together. Every time that you two collaborate, and I see the videos, it's always a good laugh. It's always fun. It's always like, wow, this is like something that is very entertaining on top of being good music, which is great. So let's kind of talk about how you've expanded out a little bit, because you're doing a lot of different things now. And I think you've spread your wings and you're trying things that you weren't doing before. And I think one of those things is a podcast, and it is a very cool podcast. It is definitely an adult podcast. So, I guess, how would I put it? It's like a cross between Howard Stern and The Daily Show and a bunch of other things. And you guys, it's you and two other fellas. Y'all come together and y'all talk about a little bit about everything, right? And so I'm going to click the promo real quick just so you can see it. It's a fun little promo. Even that promo just looks like you guys had so much fun. So how did this happen? Tell me how you got caught up into doing a podcast. How did you meet the rest of your co-hosts? Like, give us a story, because I think it's a good one.
Okay, so I met Bud years and years and years ago at a place called The Masquerade, which is no longer with us. And I remember him playing drums and rapping. And then I met Kaz at a show, actually through a friend named Dell. And it's funny because, we had known each other for years, but we really didn't work with one another until probably the last few years. And how we all kind of connected again was I did a song called State of Emergency with KP and Kaz. That was like the hit of like COVID. And then Kaz was sending me beats, and then they started the theme team with him and Bud. And it's funny because I was like, oh my God, I do know Bud. I met him through someone else. So it was crazy how we all just kind of came full circle. So I started doing a lot of features with the theme team, and they were talking about doing a podcast. And I thought, well, it's just going to be them. Like, I didn't think they were going to ask me. And then one day they were like, hey, do you want to be a part of it? And I'll be completely honest with you. And this was at a time when I really didn't want to do music anymore. I didn't really want to do entertainment, and never vocalize that to anybody. So I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? They've always been good to me. They've always done what they say they're going to do. They've always been stand up with me. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should, take this jump with them. It's funny because I did this crazy. I got a fortune cookie that was like, you'll be asked to join a team. And I thought that was, and I never really think anything of that, but it just kind of all fell into place. I'm really happy that we're doing it because it's different. It's different for me. People always told me I should do a podcast. They're like, oh, you should do a podcast, da, da, da. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to, because I have a million other things going on, which is great because we're a group effort. So I'm not doing it alone, because I like to, work with the team as well, because we all get to vibe off each other, our ideas, our personalities. I really do enjoy doing it. It's fun. It's like hanging out with your close friends twice a week and just talking shit, basically. And we have a really good time doing it. It is adult, like you were saying, so we definitely have to make sure that everybody knows that. Don't log in and think we're going to be talking about unicorns, because we're not.
And it's funny because, being someone that creates content as well, you would think that, you're probably burnt out with content. But I love tuning into the show. It's a way for me to decompress as well. And you guys are funny. And, it's always a lot of interesting things. And I learn a lot. I think couple of weeks ago, you guys were talking about some old horror movies, and you had mentioned one that I hadn't seen before. It was like at a campsite or something. And
Sleepaway Camp. That one.
Sleepaway Camp, yes. And it was. I wrote it down. And I put it in my binder because I'm like, oh, this is a movie that I need to check out because I'm a huge horror fan. But you guys cover so many different things, and if you are someone that is into movies, I urge you to go check out the Theme Team, because they do these amazing remixes to themes for all types of different movies. So it's not just one genre. They cover almost anything. I think they just dropped the Superman one recently. They did an excellent one, which was Spiral for Saw, right, where you were in it, and that was awesome, and you got to have a lot of fun there. So it's just a lot of fun content, and you are in, of course, a lot of their new stuff too. And I want to kind of come back, and again, we are a music show, so we have to show music, right? You had a great video with them. I'm not gonna spoil the surprise. I'm just gonna play it because I think most folks are going to love it. It is revolving around a newer movie, and that's all I'll say. A lot of action, but I think you guys have a lot of great stuff. Let's hit.
All I ever wanted in this world is carnage.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever
We should be out there snacking on bad guys.
Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one.
I am a predator. I need to be free.
And with the crowd, but with tears of a cloud, when I yell and I scream, no one's hearing me now thinking.
It's the saddest experience.
And I could have witnessed the light of existence. I'm tired of resistance, the fighting attention, but
It's the loneliest number. It's the loneliest number.
whenever I look in the mirror, the only person that I see is me. The only thing I ever really wanted in this life was love and a family. It seems so funny, but if it ain't money, then nobody really gives a f. So what is the point of even going on if they only love you with $1 million? Let's say you make it, they wanna take it, fake it just to get them a piece. Dreaming the homie, playing the phony, but really wishing I rest in peace. Nobody really cares, so I quit the bitching and moaning. Now I'ma go give me a bag so I can stop feeling so lonely. I work till I'm going berserk. I do it for them, but I feel like I'm cursed. Fuck all the money, I don't need the the perks. I took the time off cause my soul needed search. Late night I'm working, I'm barely alert. For they dig up my past, I'ma bury it first. How do I know where it's going to take me? From what I can figure, it cannot get worse. They saying they loving me, then they make fun of me. Tell me I'm ugly, pushing and shoving me. Spit on me, hit on me, beat on me, swing at me. Look, I suggest that you stop this immediately. The pain it causes, how do I explain the losses? How you feeling, drained, exhausted, yet I still maintain, keep marching on. Yeah, with the crown, but with tears of a clown. When I yell and I scream, no one's hearing me now, thinking and I could have witnessed the light of existence. I'm tired of resistance, the fighting attention, but
It's the loneliest number. It's the loneliest number.
So I wanted to keep playing the whole thing. I know I probably extended it longer than I should have, but it's just so great. It's just a really great remix
Oh,
to an
thank you.
already made remix, which is really hard to do, right? Because one is the loneliest number. That's something that most people have heard. If you've been around long enough, like I have, it's an older song that was already
Mhm.
sampled to create this new song in the Venom Carnage movie, right? And now you guys were able to take that and actually make it even better, in my opinion. And so you guys have to check it out. One of the things I love about seeing you collaborate with the theme team is that there is this really good chemistry. Like I feel like they understand how to use your vocal range. They understand where to put you in. You just look so natural in their videos, like you're just having a good time, and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't look forced, and so it's just awesome. I love your collaborations. I hope you guys are going to continue to make music along with the podcast, and always wishing you all the best of success with that. What else you got going on? Because you came on our show when we were talking about women in gaming a while ago.
Mhm.
And one of the things that came up was mental health, right? And that I'm also a big advocate for mental health services and providing the help for people as they need it. We did our whole Movember. I have to click it and put it up. Thank you for those who participated, who helped. We didn't hit our goal, but it's not about hitting a goal. It's about doing the right thing, and we do it every year, and we're going to continue to do it every year regardless. And so, but these are things that are very close to my heart too. And one of the things that you and I have had great conversations on is giving back and providing to the community. And the funny thing is that you're not Cardi B, right? You don't have millions of dollars. You don't have all the time in the world. You can't just pick and choose. You don't have all these people working for you that set these things up. You do it all on your own. And I think that's
Mhm.
very important for people to understand. So talk to me about what you're involved in, and if we can shout them out too, we will. And we'll urge people to go help and participate, and whether volunteer or donate, whatever we can.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And thank you for what you do for the mental health and, Movember. That's awesome. I will say that mental health is really important to me because I've battled a lot of depression and anxiety for many years. And a long time ago, I went to a therapist, and their idea was to get me on Prozac, which Prozac didn't really work for me because you feel numb and you don't have any feelings. And when people talk to you, you're like, what? I don't, and you want to feel bad for them, but you can't because it's almost like you don't care anymore. It's like you've
Yeah.
become disconnected from reality. To me, that's how it was. So the last few years had gotten kind of worse for me, where I started to lose interest in doing things that I normally should, like the commercial, like you put the little ball. It's like
Yeah.
you lose interest and that's how it was. And I actually found a therapist that I like, and I've developed, easier ways for me to handle certain things that I go through because I get stressed a lot and really high strung. I also take on a lot of things that are not my problem. So, I make myself essentially, I go mad. But I've been really vocal about it as of late, and I've worked with a charity called Wow Ministries. Pastor Cassandra Green. I've done a lot of charity work with her. She does a lot of domestic violence, um, fundraisers, a lot of people that are in need, and a lot of mental health. So I work closely with her. I'm always donating with her. If I have time to do her shows, I definitely do them. But I do a lot on my own. Like throughout the year, I'll do like random giveaways to people like on like major holidays. Around Christmas, the last couple years, I really don't like do a Christmas for myself. I actually give my Christmas away. So I'll find, families that are in need and I'll buy them a bunch of clothes or I'll send them just money so they can do whatever. But I always feel like I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be like that person, like, toots my own horn. Like I really only work with that charity in particular with Cassandra when I have the time. But a lot of it I just do on my own because then that way I know like who it's going to. And I feel like I have a direct impact with them. And I feel like it's more of a connection because I know there's a lot of charities out there that are bigger ones. And I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like it's the money goes 1,000 places. I just like to know who it's going to and how I feel like a direct impact. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like a connection. Like with Cassandra, like I know the people that she's helping. She's always, I mean, this woman is selfless. I mean, this woman's like a saint. I mean, she just reached out to me today about a family whose house just burned down. And she's just, I mean, and she struggles with a lot of health issues. And this woman is strong. I mean, she definitely like walks the walk and talks the talk. And there's not many people in the world that do that. As you know, like we run into people all the time that say, oh, I'm doing a charity, but it just seems like they're doing it because, I don't know, it looks good. But, this woman will put everyone in front of herself. And I can't say, I mean, I can't say enough good things about her, but that's one of the charities that's near and dear to my heart. But a lot of like what I do, I just kind of do it on my own.
Yeah, no, and I completely understand where you're coming from, and I think it's important for us to normalize how, this can affect everyone, right? And I'll put my own story out there too. After 9/11, I found myself without work. Um, I had broken up with my daughter's mother. Like my daughter wasn't around. Like I was very depressed. And I had this almost a similar story where I went to a therapist, and it was like one of these free clinic therapists or whatever. And the first thing he did was try to put me on Prozac, and I was on it for like 2 weeks, and I felt exactly how you felt. I couldn't feel sadness. I couldn't feel happiness. I was just this numb person, and you want to cry, you want to get upset, you can't. And so, I decided myself, I got off of it. I started like bike riding every day and doing a lot of things, the self-care, right? It's a concept that was forbidden back then. Now we're accepting it as something that's normal, thank God. But I did self-care and, luckily I was able to pull myself out of that, but that's not an easy thing to do. A lot of people can't do that, and we need help and we need a support system. And so, it's okay to say you're hurting. It's okay to say you're going through something. It's okay to share, and it's even more okay for you as a friend, as a sister, brother, even if you're just a coworker, you see somebody in pain, you see something happening, to be that person to extend out to them and say, hey, is everything all right? Or what can I do? Or maybe just listen and sit there in silence with whatever they need. We need to be better to one another. And, you said it, you hit the nail right on the head. A lot of people do the charity thing because they want, the gold star, right? And there are a lot of folks that do this every day because this is their passion, and that's why I try to do it as much as I can. And again, not looking for the gold star, but, anyone that comes on the show, any of our shows within the network, if you have a cause that is important to you, that is helping folks, please let us know. I will definitely put it in the descriptions. I will shout it out. If we can help with events, things like that, we will. And so I think it's very important. And I think it's great that you do this stuff, Milyssa, because a lot of people don't, right? They say artists are very self-involved most of the times. And until they make it and they're bored, they don't give back. And you've been giving back for a long time. And so I think it's important for folks to know that and see that. Now, all right, that was a lot of stuff there, right? But I think it was important for people to know that this is who you are, right? Like this is part of you. Like you are your music, you are your acting, you are all the things you do, but you're also this awesome human being that wants to give back and wants to help others, and people need to understand that. All right, so you mentioned that you had kind of felt like you were on a hiatus for a bit, right? You didn't really know where you wanted to go. But now you have new projects. Now you have new things that are happening. talk to me a little bit about where you are in your journey now. Do you feel like you're 100% back in music? Or are you halfway in music? Are you just doing like whatever you really like? Like, where are we?
Where I'm at right now is I'm very selective with what I do now. Before I used to do everything. Now, if it's not quality or I feel like it brings me joy or if I feel like it will provide growth as for me as an artist, then I won't do it. I've learned how to say no. That's a big thing. I think some people, I think as a whole, as human beings, we need to learn how to say no and stop saying agreeing to do things that we don't want to do. That's not going to, I guess, help us in the long run. Or sometimes I feel like I was doing things that I was just doing them to do them as a way to like stay relevant. And then when I would do it, I would realize that there's a reason why I should have said no, that my instinct told me don't do this because it would be disorganized or just not as, what it was sold to me, which wasn't, people say all these things, oh, there's gonna be all these people there, or, it's gonna be this, is that, and it never is, and I'm not saying that it needs to be hundreds and thousands of people there for me to step foot. I'm just saying, like, be organized, be professional, like have things together. And that's a big thing. People don't respect other people's time. I've noticed that, like, in the entertainment business, because they feel like, oh, well, you're not anybody, so I don't need to pay you, or I don't need to do this for you. And it's like, no, we all bring things to the table. It's work. So, someone, you should be compensated. If you can't give somebody, money, at least give them a freaking bottle of water, which is enough. Like, seriously. Like, I've been to places where, like, we had a bunch of us come out and they didn't even offer us a bottle of water. And I ended up telling the
Wow.
promoter that. I was like, we're here, out of the kindness of our hearts, putting in our time and energy, like, at least like buy us a freaking drink, something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or keep us in the loop. But where I am at right now is I'm just doing things that I want to do, that I enjoy, like thoroughly enjoy. Like, that's where I'm at right now. And that's the kind of, I think that's what people's feeling with me right now, or I guess the energy of what I'm attracting, is people realize that I'm not into nonsense. I just, want to do a job. I want to work. I want to work on my art. I want to promote it. I want to grow. I want to network, and I want to network with like-minded people. So that's what I've been doing.
That's great. That's great. And so your content is in a lot of different places. What's the best place to have the full Milyssa Rose experience? Like, me as someone, let's say I'm just coming brand new, watching the channel, I'm like, oh, she's cool. Like, where should I find you? Like, where can I get the most content that helps you as well?
I would say YouTube would be a good
Okay.
one, because that visuals, I think that you'll hear a song, but then when you see a video, it like brings a whole nother dynamic to the song. So I would say that, or just go on, or if you can't get on YouTube, if you're driving, obviously you don't want to be plugged into YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all that good stuff. And if you want to just hear me be a complete and utter idiot, you can listen to me babble on the real ones.
And we'll put all those links.
Watch you be silly. Watch me in my natural state of just craziness.
So, out of all the songs you've done recently, right, and I want to say like within the last couple of years, what's your favorite? What's the one that you're like, I really love that song, I really enjoyed it out of all the others? I know it's like choosing your favorite child, but we, depending on the day, we all have one that we like more than the other. Like, what's one that's the most meaningful to you as of late that you would say?
Well, there's one that I have released. It's called Friendly Reminder. That one is very special to me because it delves into mental health. And I actually did a duet. I had another girl on it named Karenna, and I released that on my EP called Friendly Reminder. That's a very personal song to me because I think that it's very raw. I really express myself about, kind of where my head was at, where my headspace was. And I have to be that song is truly very honest to me. That would probably be one of my favorites. I'm actually going to release another track called Breathe. It was produced by Poppy Hay, which Friendly Reminder was as well. And I will be releasing that sometime next year. And Breathe, I think, is probably going to be up there as my favorite, truly, because that was the height of everything that was going on with me when I felt like it was time for me to get help. It was time for me to basically get my shit together, is what I would say. And that song, that one right there will probably be the one that I will have to say is my favorite. But the one that's everyone's heard or out right now is Friendly Reminder.
And if you haven't heard it, please, you heard it. It's on Apple Music. It's on Spotify. It's anywhere and everywhere. If you can't find it, ping me. I will make sure that you can get the links to it. And again, your catalog is just so amazing. It's awesome. What y'all don't know is that every once in a while I'll actually go through Melyssa's catalog and I'm like, I want a sample for some. We used a sample of one of your tracks for the conversations piece that we did for when we were talking to all the ladies that were in gaming.
Games.
And I knew it because I remember hearing something like I've heard something before in Melyssa's catalog that just speaks to what we're trying to do, and it was great. We was able to cut it really quickly, and again, Melyssa's just so professional. Like as an independent artist, I've worked with a lot of artists that are independent, and let me tell you, the experience is not always there. And you always bring your A game. You're always on time. You always provide all the things that need. If I ask for a press kit, it's there. It's funny. I've asked artists before, and here's another thing: if you're starting as an artist, get yourself a press kit together, right? Because if you want to pitch things to people, and they say, "I need your press kit," you don't want to be there like, "Huh?" Because they're gonna look at you like, "Oh, you're not serious about what you're doing because you haven't prepared. You're not prepared to market yourself." And you do such a good job with it. It's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it as someone that works with artists all the time. That it's a great experience. So you released a song, I would say this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Black Friday.
Wednesday, I want to say. Oh, Black Friday. Sorry.
Yeah, I watched Black Friday, but the video came out on the 1st. And thank you, and thank to Destiny and Morgan for being a part of it, and you kind of, getting that together for us. I appreciate that very much.
Oh, and so for context, what Milyssa hasn't said, because she like I said, she is a down to earth person, and she reached out and she's like, "Hey, I want some real people in my video." To make it feel authentic, and it's a great video, it's a great song. We're gonna get to it in a second. And she's like, "Do you know anybody?" And I was gonna do something, and then I'm like, "No, I'm not built for this anymore." No. But when she says Destiny is my daughter, and my daughter was one of the folks that was in the video, and she had a small cameo in there with other folks too. And I'm just gonna stop talking about it and play because it's great, and I think it's a nice uplifting video. It's fun as always because it's always fun. It's always unique. It's always something new that people haven't seen. So let's just play it. I'm gonna play this one in its entirety, folks, because it's that great. I think you all need to enjoy it. So let's kick it right in. Bam.
I told myself I think of you and no one else. I can't stop my thoughts, I'm obsessed, and I can't get enough. You got me under your spell, everyone can tell I'm crazy for your touch. You got me on fire, you light my desire that I've been craving so long. Ecstasy, you bring me your baby ecstasy. my time. I want you all the time. Don't make me beg, beg and whine. You can be mine all of the time. All of the time. I don't wanna wait. Let's go now. Don't make me hesitate. I just want your love. You're sent from above. I need you, please, please be mine. Ecstasy, you bring me ecstasy. You bring me ecstasy. Ecstasy, you bring me ecstasy. You got me saying oh 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 oh. You got me saying oh 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 oh. You bring me to life, you make me whole. You do what you do to me. You bring me to life, you touch my soul. You do what you do to me. You bring me to ecstasy. I said you bring me ecstasy. You bring me to ecstasy. You bring me ecstasy. Don't know what you're doing to me. I said you bring me ecstasy. You bring me ecstasy. Don't know what you're doing to me. I said you bring me ecstasy. Ecstasy.
That was just so much fun, Melissa. I can't tell you. And you know what I love most about it? All right, I'm gonna air out a little bit of a dirty secret about me. I've become addicted to TikTok recently, and my kids find it fascinating because I just sit there and watch all these funny TikToks all day long, music, everything, and I could literally be stuck there for like an hour and a half if they let me. And it felt like that fun that I have when I'm just scrolling through all these different pages that folks have and all these videos that folks have, and it was just such a fun video. I love it. So tell me, like, what was the inspiration for this? Like, how did you come up with this song, with this concept? Because it's fantastic. I love it.
Oh, thank you. So my engineer used to produce, and a long time ago he actually had somebody else on this song, and for whatever reason the person was doing music, or they it did never saw the light of day, and he said, I want you to write to this. And I was actually kind of nervous about it because I was like, I heard the girl do the song originally, not the beat, and I was like, but it was so good, like it was totally different than what I wrote about. And I said, oh my God, like there's all this pressure, there's a challenge, like will I be able to write a song to match this? And I wanted to do a love song, and I heard the song and it was very much like a club, like a club banger, and I was like, okay, well, it makes me think of like raving and ecstasy and lights and just people having fun and a good time. So I wrote the song and I brought it back to my engineer, and he was like, oh my God, I love it. And then we were talking about what to do with the song, and still this was kind of still it's a little COVID-y or whatever, and I was like, I want to get all these people together, and not everyone's comfortable like getting together and videoing. So I was like, what, I'm going to do a huge TikTok video, and then I'm going to find somebody to do a dance. And so I got this troupe out of Malaysia to do it for me, and I just asked anybody I could. I was like, do you want to be in this? You're a couple, like, please be in my video. And I actually had people that are like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And they sent me videos and pictures, and so it turned out really neat. And then I had the theme team edit it. And fun fact is, December 12th is my 9-year wedding anniversary to Tony. And I was like, well, why don't I just do like all these old pictures of us and whatever, because it was a love song. So there you go. There's a long story about how I came up with the ecstasy.
Yeah, no, it's great. It was fun to see all those pictures. I didn't want to expose that piece because I didn't know if you wanted folks to know. But Tony's also been referred to as the Cuban, right?
Yes,
If
the
I'm-
Cuban. See, all this time, everyone thought I was married to Prof, but no, I'm not. I'm actually married to Tony.
so for those listening, it's not two different people. The Cuban and Tony are the same person. So, but that's congratulations. That's amazing.
Oh,
And
thank
I
you.
love the theme. It's fantastic. It's something that's missing, I think, in a lot of music nowadays. Like I say, there are no real love songs that are made anymore, and we've forgotten how to love. Sometimes I sound like an old man, right? I sound like a 60-year-old man. Kids don't know how to love anymore. but it's true. Like it's hard to find um, good music that celebrates beyond the first year. I want to say, right, beyond that infatuation stage, right? That like, hey, you're in love, but it could be more. And I love what you did with the photos because it took it beyond the theme of just like, hey, we're in this infatuated stage, we're in love, like it's the first year, we haven't even argued yet, you haven't heard me fart, like they say, right?
Yeah.
And you showed that nice display of, I think, the transition of the growth. And there was that picture, I think, and was that your mom and your dad in one of the photos too? Because
Yes, they were at my CD release. It's funny because my dad found out he was in that video. He would kill me because he doesn't like social media. He doesn't like his picture online. It's funny because I'll like put pictures of him for like happy birthday to my dad. And I told him that, and he was like, "You will take that shit down. Take it down. I don't want that there. It's nobody's business." And I was like, "Dad, but like hundreds of people are wishing you happy birthday." He's like, "I don't give a shit. Take it down." Like he just
you're like, relax,
hates it.
relax, it's not a
He
bad thing.
hates it. He hates it so much. And I almost do it because it makes him angry.
Oh, it's that's too funny. And I can kind of see that on the picture because he looks serious in the picture too. So that's why I was curious. I'm like, is this her dad? It's got to be her dad and mom. I don't think you just pick random strangers to stand in between.
Yeah, that's my dad. Like you'll never see him. Like he makes very rare photo occasions. Like my mother is different though. My mom's like, "Let's take a picture of everything. Take a picture of this." I always make a joke that I'm her Facebook manager because she'll be like, "I just took all these pictures now I'm in a town. You need to upload them." And I'm like, "Okay, mom. Thank you."
I mean,
I'll be here.
that's not as bad. My mother still leaves me a voicemail like it's an answering machine, and she thinks to actually hear her while she's leaving a voicemail. And it's cute, it's funny at the same time, but she'll like leave me like these 30 seconds, and part of it's like, hello, are you there? And I tell her, Mom, I can't hear you when you're leaving the voicemail. It's not like that. But she's got it over time. But she wasn't like a big tech person either, so it's like I have to remember it too. But now I feel old because I ask my kids, like, I'm like, hey, how do you do this thing on TikTok? How do you do this thing on Instagram? And they know it. They just pull it up. They're like, here you go. I'm like, all right, you're gonna need to slow that down because Dad is not as quick as he used to be. So just write it down for me or something. They're like, oh God, you're such a boomer, Dad. And I'm like, oh, stop it. I'm not that old. But
No, it's true. They're so good. Like the young generation, it's so good online. Like everything, it's quick. They get it. Like I sit on TikTok and I'm like, how do these people do like half the things that they're doing? I
yeah,
don't know how to do it.
yeah, it's funny. I have to watch her YouTube to show me how to do something on YouTube sometimes. That's crazy because we're creating content and we're doing all this stuff for folks. But people don't realize how difficult it is when you're doing it on your own, right? Like we're not paying for all these producers and everything behind the scenes, and so I think like that's why I love your relationship with Bud and Kaz because like they're really good at the video editing. You provide a lot of great content. Like I've told you for a long time, like you definitely need to have your own podcast, and so like the fact that they know that, and that's like you can just do what you want to do. Like you can just show up and be you and not worry about the post and the pre stuff. It makes it easier. So it's great. And like I said, love what you're doing. I hope you continue to make tons of new music because it's always great. It's always inspiring. It's always fun. It's always different. And that's hard to find nowadays. So for the folks that are out there, well, give us some closing thoughts about Milyssa Rose. where should they look for you? I think we gave a couple of places. You're on Spotify, you're on Apple Music, but you're on Twitter and you're on Instagram, and I think the usual places, like the usual suspects. And we'll get all your links and put them in the description. But talk to us, tell us, close us out, Milyssa. Where can they find the best of Milyssa Rose?
Well, I think YouTube is probably the best shot to look, because I like my visuals a lot, because I put a lot of energy and thought into my art and what I do. And I think some people, like I do highlight, serial killers or horror or whatever, but I think people need to understand a lot of the reason why I do what I do is, specifically is not everybody that's crazy looks like they're crazy. And I want people to understand some of the things I do. There's a cautionary tale there, like my song Ollie, which is basically I'm a predator and I'm going to go hunt somebody down. People are like, oh, it's just a way for you to look at serial killers and you're whatever. So if you look at my art and really understand, there's more to it than I think meets the eye. And I think people need to really open their eyes and their ears to it and see that there's a method to my madness and what I do. So I think YouTube would be the best, shot to see the videos, to hear the music. And then of course, Spotify, Amazon, Apple. I'm not really much on SoundCloud, but I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm not on TikTok that much. I need to be more on TikTok. I need to get on there. I need to get on the ball. But really, I'm an Instagram, Facebook person. I'm on there a lot. But yeah, connect with me and, let's chat, let's network. I'm always, up to, meeting people, networking with people, promoting, if I love to see other people, promote their art. And I like to build my network. I always talk about, I was working with other people. You learn so much from others that you normally wouldn't learn. So it's all about growth and it's all about learning. But I appreciate you so much for having me. I've known you forever, and just like you're so near and dear to my heart, and I'm just so flattered that you think so highly of me, because I always tell people that I can't believe anyone would be really interested in what I'm doing, and it's really mind blowing to me that even if 5 people or 5,000 or 5 million get to know who I am. It's just, I never really thought that anyone would care what I was doing. And I'm very grateful for you and everybody that's given me an opportunity. So thank you so much. And thank you for all your help with my career and of course with ecstasy. And I just can't thank you enough.
No, thank prayer hands, because there was no need for that. You are amazing. You've always been an amazing artist. You're great folks. Please, I implore you, go check out Milyssa's catalog. I guarantee you there is something there for everyone, regardless of what your usual genres are. And look at the videos. I mean, this is not, Milyssa doesn't run around with an iPhone, okay? This is really good professional looking stuff. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference between this and a $1 million video that was shot, on an island sometimes, because she really does put that much care into what she's doing. There's a lot of quality. And most importantly, a lot of love. You love what you do. You love your craft. And I think it shows every time you put something out, because it's a piece of you, I feel, that folks walk away with. And that's what makes you such a special artist. So folks, go out there, support Milyssa. And like I said, That Game Dragon Music, we're doing lots of great things, right? This is it. We're going to start exploring lots of indie artists and bringing them on board and talking about their great projects and what they're doing, because I think that's where all the great music is right now. So if you're listening to the radio or you're on SoundCloud somewhere and you're like, oh, this stuff sounds the same thing with Spotify, independent artists are where it's at. That's where you're going to listen to new sound. The problem is, what a lot of folks don't understand is in the music industry, you have a handful of producers that basically have an iron fist around everything. And music labels don't want to experiment because they want the formulas that they know consistently will bring them money over and over again. So if you're looking for new sounds, new themes, just experimentation, or just something different, a different person or an authentic person, not a prepackaged person that comes with a stamp from the label that says this is what this person needs to dress, talk, and look like, you're seeing the real deal when they're independent. And now they have platforms, and we're going to be one of those platforms. And Milyssa, thank you for being our first artist on our platform.
Oh, thank you so much.
Music. And you deserve that, Tyler. You are a springboard for everyone else that's going to be on here. And I hope they look at what you brought and see what you do and are inspired. Anyway, for the rest of you out there, I'm That Game Dragon. You just saw our interview with artist Milyssa Rose. All her content is up and running on YouTube, all the usual social media spaces. We'll collect links and put them in our descriptions later on as well. You can catch this on the video on demand if you missed it. And we will see you next time. Milyssa, why don't you close us out with an awesome goodbye?
All right. Thank you so much. And goodbye from That Game Dragon and Milyssa Rose. We'll see you all on the internet. Thank you. Bye.